Welcome to Buying Local, everyone. I'm your host, Mike Nelson from Five Towers Media. Joined here today by an old friend, uh, Jacque. If I even try to say your last name, I'm going to try to sound so French that it's just going to be ridiculous. So, Jacque, would you, Ecuyer?
Ecuyer, you were close.
Ecuyer. Okay. I knew I was going to mess it up, man.
No, hey, that's closer than most people get. So,
Okay. Jacque, I really appreciate you coming on the show today, and especially on all days, your birthday,
yep,
29 again.
man, feel it too. 29,
I,
29.
29. We started talking about this before I started recording, and it's one of the things you were saying. At a certain point in your life, you start looking at things, the fact that there are probably fewer days ahead than there are behind, and it just kind of has a shift on you as far as how you look at things. And yeah, fascinating. Growing old, man, it is weird, right?
Oh man, it really just feels like I explained to someone the other day. I said when you're younger, you always hope for. I can't wait for summer. I can't wait for vacation. Can't wait for the weekend. And then when you're our age, you're like, well, slow down. Like where the last year went, I don't even know. The last 20 years went. I don't know. It's like a blur. It's like, oh my god, where did it all go?
Yeah, it's what do they say? Is it the days go by slow, but the years go by fast? Is
Yeah, I
that the
think I think that's true. I really do. I mean, look at we're already at the April. It just
I
seems like
know, man.
it's like Christmas and then April, bam! It's like holy crap.
And it's almost mid-April and it's still 30 degrees, which is very disheartening.
Yes.
I'm very grateful that we don't have any snow. But man, I am set with 30-degree weather, brother. I am ready for at least 60 degrees. I just want to go outside and get my feet in the grass and my face towards the sun and enjoy that warmth, man.
Oh, we did that. We had that one day last week. I think my wife and I went outside with
Yeah.
the dogs, sat in the deck. I think it was 70. It was like, oh, we're sitting outside bare feet, and it's like, oh, this is
Yeah,
great.
man.
And it just puts you in such a different mindset because we all know winters, especially where we are, upstate New York. Winters they drag on, and if you have any type of mental health issues, I mean,
Yeah.
it just sinks you right down. So when you look forward to that calendar, March 21st, you're like, oh man, spring. It puts not only us but everybody in a whole different mindset. That's what spring is for, right? Rebirth. It's another year, it's another season, it's another a nice stretch of 6-7 months of beautiful weather.
Yeah. 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 6, 7 if we're lucky, but six for sure.
Yeah.
That seasonal affective disorder. That's a real thing, man. I'll tell you what a difference a little sun on your face makes, you know, improve your mood. Uh, so Jacque, God, we've known each other what, 20 years,
Yeah,
right? Because
been a
I
long
originally met,
time.
it's been a long time. I originally met you through Fluey,
Yep.
way back then. And we've obviously interacted over the years, and you are very involved in the community in a few different ways. Go ahead and kind of introduce to our listeners. I know some of them are very familiar with you. Maybe they've seen you at see you at the Veterans Walk in the spring with the chamber, and obviously you have events. So give us a little bit of a rundown.
Yeah, sure. So I started my own nonprofit organization, man, a handful of years ago. It was right after my father passed away, and I wanted to really focus on mental health in so many different capacities. And as we know, mental health, involves so many different things.
Hmm.
Um, and the reason I did it in a synopsis, a really quick thing, is I've lived through most of it. I mean, bullied as a kid, drug addiction. I'm 30 years clean now. Um,
Nice.
Depression, multiple suicide attempts. I pretty much lived through most of it. I always tell people I don't fear anything because I probably should have died 5 or 6 times already, and I'm still here for some reason. And then here's another year. And so I started the organization, just small fundraisers, donated to different other organizations, but I lacked the like that bond. Like if I was to do it for an individual, you get a hug from some, like you had that connection where I didn't get it. I was just donating, hey, I'll raise money, I'll donate it to this one, I'll do it. So I said, wow, I don't have that personal touch. So we started getting into you know, different fundraisers. And then when COVID hit, I mean, we really took off. We did Feed the Front Lines, where we fed 350 first responder staffs.
That's amazing.
I opened the community store up in Uno's restaurant. We fed, I don't even know, 3,000 families up there. It was all donation based. I set up a makeshift store for elderly and low income families that could come and shop once a week.
Yep.
Um, and then what we're gonna get into or allude to is I went to the owners of Slickfin one day, and I said, there's nothing in this area that truly appreciates our military, our veterans. And I said, hey, what do you think about doing a military appreciation day, where even if we don't raise any money, we just bring the military out, all their families have a day of music and fun, and Heather and Chris Marks were great, and they were like, you know what, sounds like a great idea. So this is year 4, I think, and we went from the first year, I think we raised $3,000 to $8,500 to $14,000 last year out of that small brewery
Wow.
in Fort Edward. So yeah, and it's all the money goes right back to local veteran organizations. So 100% of the proceeds stay right here in our community, Saratoga, Washington, Warren counties.
That's amazing. And big shout out to the Marshes too. They're great people,
Awesome.
and Slickfin is super nice. I definitely don't get there as often as I would like to, but it's a great place. So if you're listening and you haven't been over to Fort Edward on Broadway there and checked out their brewery, it's pretty cool. They've come a long way as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember they started just a tap room, and now that entire back area with the Army tent and the cornhole boards, the fire pits, live music, all kinds of events. And this one, part of the reason I did this too was to give them some exposure as well, because I love the place. It's 90% of the clientele is military, and I think out of that 90%, I think 80% are probably Marines. So it really, and it's such a good place. And it goes back to, we were talking about, as you get older, like I don't do the bar scene. I don't, like, go to a brewery, have a nice craft beer, but enjoy adult conversation, not the things that you find in bars. And we both know what that is. And it's just, it's a
Yes,
whole
sir.
different, it's a different element. And that goes back to what you look for as you get older. You got to look for intelligent conversations, but still having, to take the time to laugh and share stories and just network and meet people. And it's a great spot to do that. It really is.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And you raised $14,000 last year. That is amazing.
Yeah, and that was like in 5 hours, because we had like an hour worth of rain. So we ended up, what we do is we pick 5 beneficiaries. We try to do 5 beneficiaries. Adirondack Vet House, which is run by Jeff Barnett, is always one.
Yeah,
I always put him in, because I know exactly where that money goes, and that stays right here locally in Glens Falls.
yeah. We actually we host their website, and we do it as a donation every year. So um, it was funny. He came as a referral, and I talked to him briefly. We moved his website over to our servers, and then sent him the invoice. And then I was like, wait a minute. I sent him an email. I was like, hey man, like, we're just gonna donate that. It's not a lot of money. It like might be like $400 or $500 a year. But I was like, hey, I'm not gonna charge you for that stuff. Like, appreciate what you're doing for the veteran community. Like, just consider it a donation, and whatever we can do to help. So he seems like a good dude though.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Like that you guys did that, because I've always said, if everybody just did that one little thing, it'd make the world a better place. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of people don't look at it that way. So it's putting good out. And one of the big things with the military so I call it Operation. I'll talk a little bit about it, since I've already opened
Yes,
that door.
please.
So, well, we already opened the door. So yeah, it's called Operation Give Back. It was a great name for it, which is what we're doing. It's operation for a military operation, but giving back to our veterans. So it's May 10th this year. It's always on Mother's Day weekend, and we end up getting thousands of people. Like in that brewery last year, I think we had anywhere throughout the day between 1,500 and 2,000 people in and out of those doors all day. It was truly amazing. So what we do is we go from noon to 10 p.m. I have 8 musical acts. I have 2 food trucks, which are both owned and operated by military vets. Carnivore Brothers, which is Justin Prescott, and Vested Veteran Grill, Alan Lapel. We encompass that in there. Heather and Chris obviously are both Marines. And we do 50-50 silent auction, basket raffles, and like I said, live music. And like this year, I mean, you were a sponsor, 5 Towers Media. I hit the sponsors. I had 32 sponsors on the back of the shirts within 4 days when I put it up. I mean, who doesn't want to
Yeah.
sponsor an event for veterans? So yeah, it's and we'll choose the beneficiaries hopefully within the next week or two, and we'll keep pumping it out. I have it on the Washington County tourism page, the Fort Edward page. I think I just sent it to Dan Miner at the at WCKM. And obviously, you guys helped us out last year with the huge article that you did. That was a huge plus. So I want to thank you guys for that, because
Yeah, welcome.
the more exposure we can get, not only for us, it actually helps both food trucks. They go out and they're able to interact, and Heather and Chris, and I love helping them out, because they didn't have to open their doors, and they chose to, and it's exponentially growing each and every year, which is phenomenal, and I love this event more than anything I think I've ever done as far as with the organization.
And well, and let me just say, our mission as an organization, Jacque, is to give unwavering support to small business owners and entrepreneurs, and we include nonprofits in that. And so, anything that we can do, and I'm saying this not for attention for us, but mainly for any listeners. Like, if there's something that we can do to support an organization, an event, a business owner, a person, if it's something that we can do, we're very happy to do it, man. And I think that more and more people are having that mindset, and especially in our local community, Warren, Washington, Saratoga counties, we've got amazing community. And to your point, right, if everybody just does that one small thing, man, you get, all of a sudden you got all these hands helping to lift the burden of life, right? So I think it's great, and I love seeing how much that we have going on here. So it's
Yeah, I tell people all the time, I have never been. And I grew up. I was born and raised in Albany, and obviously big city, whatever. But you come up this way, and I was always blown away, even before I started 4S for Life. How much, like, you can have events every weekend, and people get like there. Look how many events, as well as I. How many events
yeah.
every weekend? There's huge things. South High Dance. You have Peter Brock, your Small Business Challenge with the Operation Santa Claus, which are two of the bigger ones. But I mean, you have so many events each and
So
every
many.
year, and people still come out and support. They're always willing to lend a hand. I mean, outside of the crappy weather for 4 months, I've never lived in a community that has shown so much for support for so many people
Yeah.
without even wavering. Doesn't matter what it's for. It could be for someone with cancer. The next day they turn around and it's for some, like maybe a child battling something, or it's, somebody had a fire and they donate to it. It's truly, truly amazing. It really is. And I always tell people, things like, what we do is give back, and all the other things. We can't do it without our community and businesses such as yourself. Like I said, we had 32 small businesses. I had to turn people away because I couldn't fit any more on my shirt. But
I know.
it's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah, it is. I remember when I saw the Facebook post, and I was like, immediately, I was like, yeah, man, count me in. But then you watch it. I kept getting alerts on my phone with all the people that were commenting, like,
I
count me
know. I
in,
was
count
like,
me in.
man, I was like, and it was, it's, I normally do two event sponsors, Winslow Realty. They're out of Corinth,
Yeah,
Brian
I know the
Winslow. And
Winslow's.
okay,
Yeah,
so Brian's one of the event sponsors, and then my buddy John McMillan out of Chestertown owns McMillan Construction. He's actually a Marine too. So, I do the two event sponsors and the shirt sponsors. And then, as I said, now we're just pushing the baskets and raffle items. So I put some posts up, and a lot of people are reaching out. They'll drop it off that day of, and yeah, I
yeah.
mean, we have an awesome lineup. I mean, look at this. We got well, you may have heard of some of these people. So we got Shannon Roy. She's actually a veteran. We have who else? We have Jared Stillatank. He's out of Luzerne. He was there last year. Great guy. Richie Ortiz. Everyone knows Richie.
Yep.
I mean, John Warcall plays every year. Vinyl Vault, Against the Grain, the minivans, and the Switch.
Nice.
So it's a four acoustic acts, and they all donate their time. I want to give them a shout out. To all those,
Absolutely.
to all those bands. My good friend Paul Jerzak, who does all the sound that day. I mean, he takes care of all of that. He sets up the schedule. He does all the sound checks. I mean, when people, and you know this, when people come up to me at the events and they're like, "Man, you did such a good job," I said, "Listen, man, it's like anything else. It's a team effort. You know, without Slick Fin Brewing Company, without my two food trucks, without my sound guy, without all the volunteers, all the women that come that day and set up and do all the raffle, yeah, it's easy for me to just walk around and network. But without all of those people and the sponsors and the event sponsors, that's why, you wish people would just take something out of this and say, if you don't take anything else out of this, just say, listen, all these people, look at all the businesses that are on the back of this shirt. All these people came together for veterans. They all came together for one common cause. We can't do that, in everyday life, but we can do it for an event right here in Fort Edward. So it's like,
Yeah,
I wish it would just exude and carry outward, and people just saw that and said, hey, you know what? If they can do it, why can't we do it?
absolutely. And I think, and to your point too, I think that that mentality, it, it 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 may have been missing or lacking for a long time, but I feel like the last few years we've really seen local communities. I mean, especially ours, but
Yeah.
other communities are starting to really try to knock down those barriers of separation that we've all created. Like I remember for years, you when I grew up, you knew your neighbor, right?
Right.
And then for a long time, that was just you didn't do it. It was really weird, right? Like I remember living at one point on a street where I didn't know any of my neighbors, and now I feel like that sentiment of community is coming back a lot more. People are searching for it, looking for it, and I think that events like yours are the proof in the pudding, right? So they're showing that people do want to come together and support good causes, and especially like in your instance, where all the money coming in is going back to your
Yeah.
local, to people that right? Like
Right.
it's supporting people that and it's staying local, and it's not paying a CEO salary somewhere and wherever, So it's I think it's great.
Well, that was
I love it.
part of it why I did it for the military too. I mean, was you just alluded to the fact. So like Wounded Warrior, everyone thinks it's a great organization to give to. In theory, yes, but when your CEO makes six figures, I mean, I don't know how you justify that when he's making over $500,000. And talking to veterans, they don't see a lot of that money, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. And I don't want to just. I mean, that's not the only one. There's a lot of big. The bigger I swear, the bigger they get, the more money they're like, oh well, what else can I get
Yeah.
at it? And it's just it's lost in translation. The whole meaning of the word not for profit is like people used to ask me, well, what do you get out of it? I said, I put more money into my organization than I'll ever get back. But it's not about that. It's
Right.
about that mother with cancer that comes up and gives you a hug, that veteran that comes up and shakes your hand and thanks you, the smiles on their faces. I go and enjoy this event. I tell my photographers, I don't want to be in any pictures unless it's, one of the event sponsors or, like a constituent or maybe, like Dan Steck or something like that. I'll take a picture. Other than that, I said, take pictures of everyone else. I want them in those moments, sharing stories, having that camaraderie they had in the military. And that's what it is. It's free of charge. There's no cover charge to get in. Everyone's allowed. They can go right on in. You know what? And actually, the other thing is Adirondack peer to peer. Jeremy Doers. They actually buy the first $1,000 in food. So if you average out, they did this last year too. It's about $10. We'll say $10 an item. So the first
Yeah.
100. So all they have to do is when they come in, they check in. There's a peer to peer table. As you walk into Slickfin, you check in. Right there, they'll give you a voucher for food and first $1,000 is paid for. I mean, again, another teammate coming in, and it's every year. It started with us, Vested Veteran Grill, and Slickfin. Now it's grown into another food truck, 8 bands, a sound guy. Like it's grown up. It's crazy. It's just like I don't know. It's
It's amazing.
it really is. But again, I don't. It didn't surprise me with the community that we live in. It doesn't surprise me. But when you sit down, like when I'm sitting there and I take in that moment, maybe 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon when it's at the heart of the day, and you see all these people. And I've said this to my wife. I'm like, I can't believe all these people came out to something that that I put together, and they're like, this is what it is. It's just such a great day, just to see everybody. And then at the end of the night, of course, you're exhausted, so you're just like, holy
Yeah.
crap. And it's a whirlwind. It's like life. It's like noon comes that day. You're like, okay, everyone's ready to go. We set up, we're rocking. Next thing you know, it's 9 o'clock. You know what? And I'm just winding down. I'm like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. Like I'm wiped out. But it was such a good day. And we just start planning for the next year. Like I start planning the next day for the following year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. What and I guess we'd be remiss too, Jacques, if we didn't talk about S4S.
Yeah.
And the organization that you have and you've had for years, that you've been, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I believe all these events that you do are under the umbrella of that nonprofit. Is that correct?
Yes. Everything that I've done. Yeah. I mean, we used to do, so Operation Give Back was something I sort of created on my own. I put the logo on there just because obviously everyone associates me with the organization.
Yeah.
But I always try to steer everything towards Slickfin. Like I really try to push it toward Heather and Chris. Because that's important to me.
Yeah.
Like I said, without that venue, I don't have anywhere to go. I mean, I could call somebody else up, but I mean, they were gracious enough to come in, and Chris spends, days and days brewing all that beer for that day. And they're bartenders and
Yeah.
so
Well, and it's the perfect culmination of factors for the venue too, right? Like they're both Marines.
Hmm.
They both served, and they themselves have a big community of veterans that come into that, like you said, like it was 90% military or ex-military,
Yeah.
and most of them Marines, right? So
Yeah.
and just a great location, great people, great beer, great food. It's just, it all kind of adds up.
Yeah, so I figure if you the reason behind this is that if you create that event just to be able to, to show how appreciative we are, because we all know that the veterans are unfortunately third class citizens in this country a lot of times, and you know what, that's how they're treated, and it's been since, probably since World War I, at least since Vietnam. So to be able to create that aura, to have them just like we always do a moment of silence when I go up and thank everybody. I mean, you can hear a pin drop. Everyone has their hats off. We do a moment of silence. So this year, what we want to do is my buddy John Warcall plays the Star Spangled Banner on an electric guitar, and I want to do is I have the four flags for the four main branches. I want to get a representative from each of the four, and I'll hold the American flag, and we'll have that moment of silence after the Star Spangled Banner. But again, it's another way to bring everyone in, to that moment, which is what you want to do. It's about creating moments. Any good event, anything good in life is about creating moments. It can only be a minute or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but you create moments. And that's what people remember, moments. They're not going to remember 12 to 10. They're not going to remember 10 hours of, whatever. They're going to remember that
Yeah.
one moment that everyone stood there in silence with their hats off, and you can hear a pin drop, but everyone understands what that moment is all about. And that's what I take out of that event is that one moment. Forget everything else. Everything else is great. But man, I'll tell you what, that one moment when everyone's quiet, you don't hear a peep. That's pretty impressive. It really is.
Yeah. What do you think? You know, your talk, the way that you're describing things about this event is it almost sounds like it's effortless as it comes together. But I know that that's not the case, right? Because anything worth doing is never easy. So, what kind of challenges do you typically run into? As you come into, I think you said year four. What kind of challenges are you seeing as you try to put this event together?
I think, I mean, it might come to one play where it gets too big for the venue. So that might be the big. I mean, because it is literally standing room only for most of the day, probably for a good, in that heart of the day, you come into like noon, people are just filtering in, but anywhere from like 2 to like 5 is like that meat of the, and literally it's so many people. And then of course, that afterward when the raffles, everything else is over, then people just want to hang out. A lot of people just come to see the bands. I think, honestly, I mean, as many years as I've been doing events, sometimes it's harder to come with the basket, like the raffles and businesses, because they do give so much, and you
Hmm.
understand that because they do. I mean, they get help all the time by the same, different organizations, and they have to survive too. So you try to pick and choose your spots, and I try to use the same people that I used over the years, but I do just put out there, and a lot of times because it is veterans, and I've always realized that veterans and kids are the two groups that people will donate to. I mean, if it comes to kids, especially children, but our vets, they all know. I mean, and set aside whatever you believe in nowadays with everything that's going on in our country, all the cuts to the VA and everything else, that's just making it even harder on these guys, these men and women. So to be able to do something like this, is important. So effortless, no, it takes some time, but to anyone that plans an event here, here's my best advice I can give you. The day after I'm done with this, actually the day of, I go right to my food trucks. I go right back to Chris and Heather, and I start asking them right now, you guys in for next year, in for next year, in for next year, get my bands for the most part. So I already have everything done. But when people come to me and they say, well, I'm trying to plan this event and I can't get this started, I said, listen, three most important things: date, venue, and food. I mean, that's three. You need your venue. So the first thing you do is you go out, you find your venue, find somewhere that is willing to work with you and be able to, because of if you do get rain or even blistering hot sun, that's taken care of, and dates, because summertime, everyone's got events going on. You have proms, you have graduations, weddings. I mean, on top of all of the events. So these food trucks, they get logged down right away. I mean, most of them are already booked for the whole season.
Yeah.
So if you can get those things locked down and out of the way, those are the most important things. And then as you grow, like you said, I think more people wanted to be involved this year, obviously by 32 sponsors, and I probably turned down like 15. And that's pretty good. That's within a week. I mean, that's almost 50 sponsors that wanted to be on those shirts because they want their
Yeah.
name to be synonymous with helping veterans. And that's great. I love that. Again, that's, um, you know how when they say, well, I guess God blesses everyone with one gift. I think I've always thought of mine as being able to bring people together for a cause. I think I've done that over the last few years. I think anyone who knows me in the community, I've done a good job at it. For whatever reason, I don't know, but it seems to work. So we're going to keep going with that.
Yeah.
Maybe I have the system down, but um, no, every year it just gets bigger because people, like this year, we'll use. I needed a tent. John Myers over at Entertainment One, he always works with me, so we have an extra tent out back. And then I called up and got IBS to do the porta johns. They actually donated them, you know, to just to have there to have just because it's just so many people that you want them everyone have comfortable, you know, be comfortable. You know, if
Yeah.
you only you know how bars are, you know, or you know breweries, you have one bathroom, one men's room, one women. Then there's a line out there. It gets into the way of the bar. They're out the
Yeah.
door. You know, so we're trying to logistics. There you go. The most difficult thing in 4 years has been just trying to move things around and what makes the flow the best to make the most out of the day. And we're learning that. Like last year was a little bit more congested, where we've moved some things around where we think it'll be a little bit more conducive to the way we want to run the event.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm not surprised to hear you say that that Ivan Bell over at IBS donated those porta. I mean, Ivan's a great dude. Uh, really believes in community and doing what's right by that community, and can't say enough. So shout out to Ivan.
Absolutely.
I've always been a big fan of his. Um, I when you were talking, I was thinking to myself, I was like, wow, you know, it's a lot of work, logistics, a lot of work putting events together. This isn't the only thing that you do during the year. And I was just thinking, people probably don't understand this is not your full time job.
No. People used to think it was. They were like, "Wow,
I know.
how do you make a living? Like, how do you pay your bills?" I'm like, "Well, I do have to have another job." And you know, my wife works too, so that helps having that, you know, and that's the other thing when it comes to you know, all of that, you know, trying to be able to take that on. I mean, so you know, part of the reason I sort of put some of the other events on the back burner was after COVID, I sort of burned out myself. And as I said, sharing my story before about my battles with mental health, I wasn't really taking care of myself, and I think I was using the ability to stay busy to maybe mask some of the stuff that I was going through. And it sort of came to fruition at the end of last year before the military event. So it's been about a year. And I just need to step back from everything. I need to spend time with my wife and my dogs, my kids, my grandkids, and I had to sort of reinvent myself and refocus. So to anyone out there that's battling, you know, every day, and you don't think that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, you're always going to suffer from something. You're always going to battle something. It's a struggle each and every day. But the best advice I can give is reach out. There's always support, no matter what you're dealing with. Someone's always going through it. You know, someone's going through something that has to do with mental health. There's millions of people in this world that deal with mental health issues each and every day, whether they admit to it or not. They do. Um, so yeah, I had to step back for a little bit, and I'm glad I did because I focused a lot just on this event, and I can put all my time and effort into this right now. So it's only once a year now, so I can actually take a vacation with my wife, and you know, and then you know do the normal things. But no, I have. I've been a salesman with Fryhoppers for 28 years, so I'm a bread guy. So a lot of people will see me out in the stores. So I'm out there. I'm pushing bread each and every day for 28 years.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to bring it up because I think it's a even more of a testament to the efforts and the things that you're doing in the community, and people to understand that you work a full-time job, and then in your spare time you're doing events that are community driven, and it is a lot of work. Even if you know kind of have a great system, and even if you are only doing one event a year, it's still a lot of work. It's still a lot of juggling, and it's to no benefit to yourself. And I think that that is the epitome of what community work should be, right? And so I want to give you kudos on it, man. I highly respect you and it because of
Oh,
that, and I think that other people do. And I just want to make sure that our listeners and readers understand that.
well, I appreciate that. You know, and I always tell people every time we do an event, and especially our big ones. So like you were to one years and years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
We had one, and I'll tell you, man, we had one. Was it 2 years ago? Was the last one I did? It was the Speakeasy. It was a speakeasy themed
Oh yeah.
1920s. It was at the Queensberry Hotel. It was sold out. It was crazy. So it was sold out. Multiple sponsors. Like it was truly amazing, and everyone dressed. 99% of the people were dressed, including the band. And it totally just blew me away. So when I came up to say thank you, and every time I get to the end of it, the last thank you I always do, and I don't mean, people are gonna say, "Oh, I can't believe it's the last one," but is always my wife, because I thank obviously your sponsors, and you go through. But when I get there, she's always within eyesight, and I've never been able to get through it without breaking down, because I've been with my wife for 19 years now, and she's my biggest fan, biggest supporter. She's there when those days are bad, when those days are rough, whether it be me battling my own individuality, the things that I deal with, or just maybe the event didn't go the way that I wanted to do. She's always that one, but she's always my biggest fan, my biggest cheerleader. She supports it, and that it's a testament to her too, because you know what, I'm bringing loads of T-shirts in the house, and I have baskets all over, and this, and I'm sure it drives her crazy, but she knows I do it. And the reason I do it is because I am passionate about it. After I wish all of these things, like this community, was available when I was going through it, and we didn't have as much back then. Because again, I'm 54. You're looking at when I was doing it; it was in the 80s, and it really wasn't prevalent. There was down in that area, it wasn't like it was up here. So I try to create things that give back to the community and try to help as many people as I can. And that's what I want my legacy to be. Every man wants a legacy. Well, I want mine to be, hey, you know what? He helped so many people and didn't ask for anything. I didn't ask for anything, and that's something to be said. To be like, man, to be humble about it, but to just say, man, just to give back. That's the best advice I can give people. Give back when you can. Buy someone a coffee in Stewart's. I mean, it's cost you $2. Buy some that could make their day.
Yeah.
Something as simple as that. Let somebody butt you in line. Hold the door open for stuff. All those things that we grew up on. They've gotten lost in translation over the years, and I think if we get back to that, maybe I don't know. Hey, I'll put it this way. So I was talking to somebody, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and I said, if you realize as a country, every 20 years, it's taken one major event for us to come together. Now, I'm just going to start with Woodstock, because that's just before my time, but I sort of, remember what was going on. So Woodstock came together. Now, it brought people from all walks of life, black, white, gay, straight, whatever, all over. Forget the free sex and the drugs part, but it brought everyone together because they had fun. You watch the videos of Woodstock, everyone's dancing, they're holding hands, they're hugging, they're embracing each other. Everyone had a great time. Okay, 20 years. 20 years, fast forward 20 years, we had We Are the World. When everything came back together, you had all the singers on the stage. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
It was all okay. They brought everyone together. It was whatever, a billion people watch it. They had it all over the thing. The world came together. The country came together. And everyone, no one looked down on anybody for any reason. Now, even though it was a tragedy, 20 years later, we had 9/11, which brought this country together. And yes, unfortunate circumstances, but if you, and I'm sure you did, you watched all those tributes, and the day
Oh
of, the
yeah.
day after, the weeks after, then all those people, what did they do? They stood together, arm in arm. Didn't matter what walk of life they're, poor, rich, didn't matter. They were Americans. They stood together. This is what we are. This is us, community. That's what I'm talking about. Forget it was just, we're a community. But every 20 years, so now it's 20 years later, a little more than 20 years. What do we do now to be able to reinvent? We shouldn't have to. You would think that, hey, you know what? Take a page out of someone else's book to say, man, these guys can make it work. Why can't we? But there's so much going on nowadays. There's so much negativity. There's so much hate. And there's so many people putting other people in by. Like I'm afraid to turn on the news anymore. I don't even like to be on social media, because it's just so many people are bashing. So there's so much hate out there. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. The division is a real thing in this country and around the world. It is intense. It is intense, and it's everywhere. To your point,
Yeah.
I I feel like I get on Facebook and it's just one side arguing against the other side, and and that's across all platforms. The
Yeah.
same thing on X, same thing everywhere. But
Yeah. I mean, even
yeah,
the news. I mean, if you turn on the news, I mean, if you ever watch the news, what is it? The first 10 minutes is all negative. It's, oh, we had a shooting today. We had this, a helicopter. And I think, and I've always said that I think that it's part of the way that society beats us down, is if you keep, because we both know, listen, we're from very similar walks of life. Positivity takes work. No one wants to put the effort in to be positive. It's easier to be negative because it's all around you. So it's easy to fall into that trap and say, oh, you know what? Sort of like if you spill your coffee in the morning, you have one or two ways of going. And I've done this before. Spill your coffee on yourself. You have one. The first way is you could throw the coffee. Oh my God, son of a! I can't believe I did. Okay, you just set your tone for the day. You're already in a pissed off mood. The rest of your day is going to be trash because you already set it off right there. Now, the other way to look at it is you spill your coffee and you go, I can't believe I did that, and you have a laugh about it.
Yeah.
But again, the difference in how you just set the tone for your day. You've already done it. And you're probably telling people at work, oh man, I can't, like I go in and work, you say, Mike, I can't believe what I did, man. I got in the car and I spilled coffee. Now we both laugh together. Now you're in a bed. So now it's almost infectious where I'm laughing, we have a laugh together. Then we share it with somebody else. And people don't realize just those little things, how that small little thing can change your whole perspective on your day.
Absolutely. It's a cumulative effect. Bunch of little things.
Yeah.
It adds up. It adds up.
It does.
So let's circle back around to the event.
Sure.
I don't think that we said date and time. When's the event?
So it's Saturday, May 10th. Starts at noon. Sorry, I'm looking off because I'm reading the card.
Yeah.
Starts at noon to 10 p.m. Slickfin Brewing Company. If you don't know where that is, it's in Fort Edward. If you're going toward 197, where the Stewart's is on the corner, you'll pass it just before you hit CrossFit. It's in between Stumpy's Pizza and CrossFit. You can't miss it. There'll be a 40-foot food truck trailer right at Carnivore Brothers. You're not going to miss that trailer. It's 40-foot trailer, so you're not going to miss it. You're going to know something's going on that day. I'll just go through the rundown. So obviously put on by Slickfin Brewing Company. It's sponsored by Winslow Realty, which we both know, and McMillan Construction. Food is provided by Vested Veteran Grill and Carnivore Brothers. I want to thank both of those companies and their staffs. Live music all day, starting with the acoustic acts. We have Richie Ortiz, Jared Stillatang, John Warcall, Shannon Roy, Vinyl Vault, Against the Grain, the mini bands, and the Switch. And for all those out there, 50-50 basket raffle, silent auction, all the shirts, everything, every dollar that we make goes directly to local veteran organizations. And as I said, last year it was VHCH, which was the Veteran Housing and Coalition. I think they're in Boston Spa. Adirondack Vet House, the Argyle VFW, the American Legion, Hudson Falls Post over here, and the other one was someone to do a dog. I can't remember the name of the. Damn, well, there was another one. So Sorry. We have, yeah, I know. It's like it escapes me. But this year we've had other organizations reaching out. Two of them were equine therapy, which was my wife's idea. So I'm actually going to go down and visit one. I think it's down your way. Can't remember the name of it. It's right out down by Route 29. It's like 8 minutes from downtown Saratoga, but she's down in your neck of the woods down there.
Is that Alliance 180?
I'll have to write you when I'm done. I'll share it with you, but it's down that way. So she invited me to go down and
cool
and see the operation because they have 27 horses and they do a lot with the vets. My wife loves horses, so I'm like, listen, we'll just make a day trip. We'll go down and. So we have two of them. Vet House is always there. Operation at Ease reached out. I think Adopt a Soldier reached out. So we try to just pick as many as we can, because we all know in the nonprofit world, every dollar helps. It doesn't matter if it's $100, $1,000, you know what, they'll take anything they can get. Absolutely. Because you can't grants it. They made it almost impossible now to get federal grants and state money. It's just not there because there's so many organizations out there. It's crazy. So that's pretty much the day in a nutshell. And if anybody out there, because you have businesses on here, if anybody wants to donate anything, gift cards, gift certificates, if I can plug this or not, I don't know, but baskets for the raffles,
please do.
Anything. As I said, every bit helps, and I encourage anyone. You can reach out to me, or obviously Mike knows me, but you can reach out to me or Heather and Chris March. Stop in a Slickfin, ask about the event. The more people we get there, the more money we raise, the more veterans we help.
It's awesome. And so that's the best way for them to get a hold of you is stop into Slickfin, or is there?
Yeah, they can find me on social media. Well, for this,
media?
I don't put one up just for the event. I mean, there is an event page, so if you go under your events, it is under local events. And I think I literally invited like the 3,000 people that I'm friends with on Facebook. So I think most people have gotten an invite. You can find me on social media, my personal page, or any of those, those posts. Just, leave a comment if you want to help. If you have any questions, feel free. I mean, we have a month to go. It just seemed like it was 2 months. Now it's like, have less than a month less than a month to go.
So Jacque, if you're okay, what I'm going to volunteer is, we will my company will put up a website for you guys for the event, so you can put information on there.
Okay.
What I'll do is, after the show, I'll send you a message. We'll coordinate on it, but at least get something up for you online. That way, there's some information there in case someone does a Google search or anyone's
Yep.
on there. And what I'll do is Taylor, who's going to produce this episode, Taylor, I'm now talking directly to Taylor. Taylor, please include the link to the website that we're going to create in the show notes so that people can click on it and find it. And then that way we'll put some of the sponsors up for you, get some information on there, and any contact method, Jacque, that you want
Yeah.
people if they find you online. And then that way you have it every year, and you can just update the info and keep the past events on there too.
Well,
So,
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
absolutely. Happy to help. Happy to help. And thanks so much for taking time on your birthday, my man, to come on and do the show and give us the rundown on everything that's going on. So thank you. And
No,
happy birthday.
yeah, 29 all over again.
Yeah,
So,
that's it. Every year.
well, it's funny. Someone asked me that. I went on. I worked this morning, and I hadn't checked Facebook all day. I just went on Facebook first, and it was like, I don't know, all the happy birthday. You know, you're always overwhelmed by it. You know how many people took the time out of their day to do it. And someone said, well, yeah, what do you really want for your birthday? I said, you know what? I want everyone to come out to this event. I don't want anything from me. I want everyone to come out and or support this event in some capacity. So if anyone out there is listening, they want to get me something for my birthday, come out to this event in May and come out and see these veterans and spend a few bucks and help these men and women out. And that's the best birthday gift I could get.
How many people do you think you'll have through the door?
Last year, let's see, last year was, I think, like I said, all total, I think from the whole day was probably between 1,500 and 2,000 people. So,
Wow. That's
yeah,
amazing.
I mean, it's steady. I mean, there's people starting to line up right at noon. I mean, again, there's no, just for the doors to open. They want to get in, they get their voucher, they want to get a seat. Cause like I said, there's a lot of seating, but we try to tell people, and I'll put that in there too, if you do have a fold up chair, deck chair, whatever, feel free to bring it, because yeah, it's a lot of people. It's crazy. It's literally, I still can't believe it's gotten as big as it has in that small little brewery.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, Jacque, I appreciate what you're doing. I know the community's got to appreciate it. Keep doing it, and thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. Thanks for your support. And yeah, shoot me a message and I'll get you all the information you need for
Absolutely
the website.
Yeah, we'll get that up and running here in the next couple of days.
Excellent.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. Thanks for coming on, man. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely. All right.
All right, brother.
Have a great day.